please, Charlie.
Here we go.
They're alive.
He knows that's not true.
You know, to have you, if we're not going to wear the mask,
To sit here and they couldn't pick which one.
the more we wear it, that's when you,
I don't know.
that's when you let go of the germs, when you yell.
That's why I think maybe we'll go virtual all the time.
You're
A lot
live.
easier virtual.
Live.
What do you guys
July.
think? Either way. It doesn't matter? When they brought the speaker up here, it was easier hearing them.
All right, I've got 7:30. We're on,
Are we ready?
we're on.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the July 14th Board of Education meeting. We have 4 board members here and 5 board members on the virtual. Roll call, Mrs. Slunt, please.
Dr. Cordolino,
Here.
Mr. Daughtry,
Here.
Mr. Fana,
Here.
Dr. Modrak,
Here.
Mr. O'Brien,
Here. Here.
Ms. Zuckerman,
Here.
Mr. Palmer,
Here.
Mr. Graff.
Here. Pledge of allegiance, I believe there's a flag back there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic
Which stands
one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
liberty and justice for all.
Sunshine law, Mrs. Slunt.
The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provision of the Act, the Montville Township Board of Education provided public notice of this meeting, which included the time, date, and location that was posted at the Montville Township Municipal Building, all Montville Public Schools, the Montville Public Library, the Montville Township Board of Education Administrative Office Building, district website, and advertised in the Daily Record, board's official newspaper on July 4th, 2020.
Thank you, Mrs. Slunt. We do have one addendum tonight. There will be a board meeting on August 4th. So Christine, if you can put that in the respective place on the agenda and advertise accordingly, we'll take action on that tonight. Dr. Rovkar, Superintendent's report.
I just wanted to note that, back on June 22nd, I did receive notification from Dr. Alan McMillan, the acting Morris County Superintendent, that the board has successfully completed the New Jersey QSEC process, and her recommendation was that the board be rated as a high-performing district, so we await the official action of the State Board of Education. The rest of my report is really turning things over to Charlene Peterson, our field service representative from New Jersey School Board, to lead us through our annual goal-setting process. So I turn things over to Charlene.
Great, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here tonight and to be here in person with you. And the first order of business tonight, separate from goal setting, is to present the board with its plaque that the board earned for all of the work that you have done for board certification. So we typically would recognize you at the spring county meeting, but recognizing that that was virtual, and then we were also going to then do it at the fall county meeting. We now have decided that that's going to be virtual as well. So I was able to speak a little bit at the spring county meeting to tell, all the other participants of, your accomplishments. And really, Montville was the only Morris County board to earn certification this year. You want to flip to the next one? So in recognition of your hard work, I'm here tonight to present you with the plaque and just to kind of highlight some of the things that the board had to undertake in order to earn certification. The board had to train together for 16 hours. Our policy department did a check of your policies to make sure that everything was in compliance. We also reviewed one of your negotiated bargaining agreements. The board completed a board self-evaluation. You all had to be compliant with your mandatory training. and then had to satisfy the governance portion of QSAC. So all of those things to signify, again, you know, that you are a high-performing board, working together as a team, and this is just recognition of that hard work that the board has undertaken. So hopefully it will find its place somewhere in your board office to reflect the work that you've done. So that's really
Charlene, thank you. In addition to what Charlene just mentioned, we received a letter from Larry Feinsod, who's the executive director, and I'm going to give it to Renee, and maybe she can send it out in her next Friday update, basically summarizing what Charlene just said. So I think it's a very nice compliment, and I congratulate my colleagues. And thank you, Renee and Christine, for everything that you've done on that, and anybody else that was involved in the process. Thank you, Charlene.
very good. Okay. So the main purpose of what we're going to do here tonight was set goals, and we're going to talk about two types of goals, district goals and board goals. So we're going to start out with the district goals. So those are the goals then that, as we're identifying priorities that we think are so important that they are going to move the district forward for the year, and we're going to hold the superintendent accountable by including these goals in her evaluation. So we consider them to be district goals because you as the board are helping be involved in setting the what. What is it that we think we need to focus on for the year? Recognizing then that the superintendent, the administration then will develop action plans to tell us how they're going to accomplish these goals. And then you should see these goals carry forward in the goals of the buildings, of the principals, and actually see work that would achieve these goals taking place in the classroom. So we kind of think about it as a stair step, and we're kind of setting the base here of the direction for the year of what we think is important. So there are typically, you know, anywhere from 3 to 5 goals, and I would definitely say this year we have been seeing more on the 3, just because of how big the return back to school, you know, initiative is for districts. So we want to make sure that we're focusing on the right things. We don't want to have too many things to make sure that we are doing what we're doing well. So if we could move to the next slide, please. So just wanted to show you then last year's district goals, and it, you know, involved the referendum and completing any of the aspects of that, looking at the implementation of the Schoolology. You had expanded your character education, and then you continue the integration of mindfulness. So those are basically then the 4 areas that as a district you focused on last year. So sometimes we would take what we did last year and use that as a starting point for where we might need to go this year. But the needs of this year are really so different that, if you want to move to the next slide, please. So I had asked Dr. Robtar for some ideas of things that perhaps we should be looking at or considering for this year, of what our focus and priorities would need to be. And in almost any goal setting that I've been doing, at least one of the goals has to talk about the return to school and the work that needs to be done for that. So in this case, we have to develop, implement, and communicate a plan. And the communicate part is important as well, for the 2021 school year that provides for the safety, learning, and social emotional needs of students and staff. So I think, you know, from the board's perspective, I just want to make sure that you are in support of that being a goal and being the focus for the district, and then also asking if there are any things that you would like to see encompassed in that goal. So maybe I'll go through these 3 first, and then we'll come back and, you know, affirm whether we want these to be the goals and affirm, you know, and decide if there's anything more we want to be added. The other one is to review and revise the curriculum to ensure that students are exposed to a wide variety of information and perspectives on issues related to diversity, racism, discrimination, and bias in an accepting and culturally affirming learning environment. And then the third one was to use the results from the 2019 NJSLA Science Assessment to inform instruction and improve student performance. So these were the three areas, and it is important that we always have some kind of a student achievement metric in our goals as well. So we recognize that the goal statements themselves may appear somewhat broad, but then the detail comes in the action plans of that breakdown of what are the steps, what are the resources that are needed, who's going to do it, what are the indicators of success. So that's typically then where we would see more of the detail. So just want to make sure from the board, as we're looking at our role of providing that what and what the focus needs to be for the year, are we in agreement that these are the three things that should be our focus? And again, recognizing then that we would hold the superintendent accountable for the accomplishment of those by including them in her evaluation. So just wanted to throw it out to the board.
Charlene, where would things go like successful completion of negotiations with the three bargaining groups?
So that is your goal as
That's
a
on the
board.
backseat of our goal.
So
How
we'll,
about
so,
making sure that school gets restarted in time in September?
so that's that first goal here then would be the
That's what that means on that one there?
yeah.
Okay.
Anything that anybody has in terms of things you wanted to see in the return to school goal, or in any, or if there's something here that you think, should be added that's not here, so as we can just go back so they can continue, look at those goals. No, go back the other way. One more. Okay, right there. So just wanted to hear what the board has to think about these three goals, and if there's anything more you feel needs to be.
Yes. Goal number 3, the last 3 words, improve student performance. Does that just simply mean raise the test score?
Dr. Upton, if you want to elaborate on kind of what...
I think that obviously is the objective measure that, we would most likely use to measure the attainment of that goal. I don't know, Mike, what are your thoughts in terms of performance?
My thoughts, I never want a goal to be raise test scores, because that's not what the tests are supposed to be used for. They're supposed to be used to help us evaluate the instruction, evaluate the kids are learning. If you're just trying to raise a number, I never think that's a good goal. And I don't want to hold you to that thing to say that students have to raise their test scores or you haven't achieved your goal.
But I still think that it's an objective that's something that we're obligated to pursue. There are QSAC standards that address student performance on state assessments, so it is something that we are held accountable for.
I think one, Charlene, the first goal we had for this year regarding referendum monies, construction, I know we're still doing that between the various grants, and I think that would be one that, completion of the construction aspects referendum. I know we have a lot being done with this opening of school, and I think that might be fourth goal.
Is everyone else in
I don't know,
agreement?
that's just my
To
idea.
continue any of
We
the...
still haven't completed all of the,
My markers, I haven't
programs.
used them in a few months, they're all dried out here.
that's just my idea. You guys, if you think,
Okay,
because we haven't been able to do this year because of the financial problems.
okay, good. But are we in agreement to have those
Yes.
three and add this one as a fourth one? And then is there anything else, like under each one of those three that you say, I want to make sure we focus on this, or make sure we work on that, or make sure that, things to be considered within those goals that might be important to you?
I think they're good.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So then let's move on then to,
There are questions from Christine and Michelle.
Yeah.
okay, I guess we're going
Go ahead,
back.
Christine.
Hi, thanks so much. I just have a question. I'm sure Dr. Rovtar will do this because she's great with communication, but I'm sure the parents, once whatever happens for September and throughout the year, if we can continue the great surveys that we send out to all the parents to get their feedback.
No, I think it's part of the implementation, but yeah, I do agree that communication is important, yes.
Michelle?
Yeah, I think it's part of number one, but I'm not sure if it's something that would be on its own or it's more part of the implementation of it, but just the working to make the virtual component as strong as possible, given that definitely there'll be at least some virtual component for all of the students, and many of the students may have a fully virtual component. So I think strengthening that and working towards constantly, evaluating it is an important piece of this that I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if it warrants its own goal or if it can be part of number one, but I just want to bring that up.
So it would typically be part of the action, right?
I think
of
it's
the
part of the
first,
action plan, it falls into the action plan, yeah.
but we'll
You
make
hear that,
sure
Michelle?
that's a focus or a priority, a part of that action plan.
Did you hear that, Michelle?
Yes.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, let's move to the board goals then. So then how the board goals are different then from the district goals would be then that we're now talking about your work, your governance work. So what are things that you would like to focus on this year to continually improve your governance work? Again, recognizing that all of the tasks to accomplish a board goal has to be within the board's purview. It has to be board's work to accomplish that. So again, we'll look at what last year's board goals were, and then we'll talk about this year's. So if you want to advance. So last year, your board goals were to support the administrative team as they manage the referendum construction projects. As a board, you said you would expand your celebration of student achievement, to complete a board self-evaluation, and to complete the board certification process.
Well, we can take the last one out.
You can, and the second to last one, you did the board self-evaluation as well. So now we're talking then about your work. So Charlie, you had mentioned something about then the,
Well, we're entering negotiations in
Yes.
late fall.
okay.
We're coming to the conclusion of all of our contracts with the three bargaining groups.
So,
we have to get them done.
so negotiations with the three bargaining groups.
Yeah.
There is another level of board certification, correct? The Larson?
Yes, but the next level is a master board, which requires 10 more hours of training over a 2-year period. So, and right now in the state, there are probably, we've had this master board award now for about 15 years. And out of the 600 and some districts, there's only about 35 districts that have achieved the master board award. So for those boards that work toward that, it is considered, a highly esteemed and highly acclaimed award for a board to achieve. So
And how long will that take?
you have 2 years to get 10 hours. And tonight,
We had 2 years to reach our current board certification.
so that's part of doing that. Credits are maintained for 4 years. So you will, by adding these 10 more credits, you will have kind of maintained what you had, but just based on their lifespan. So that's then why 2 years is set then to get the additional 10.
Well, I mean, it's sort of like when my son became a Life Scout. I said, go all the way and become an Eagle. I think we go for it.
Everyone else in agreement that you'd like to work toward the master board certification? Okay.
I would like to work towards it if they would change the name to Super Duper Board.
Super duper board.
think the first goal we have for this year, Charlene, I still think we have referendum projects.
So that, you would like that
capital,
to
so
continue?
support the administrator as they manage the remaining referendum and capital projects, not just referendum projects, capital projects, ESIP projects.
Okay. Okay, so we have, right now we have three, the negotiations with the three bargaining groups. So working toward the master board certification and supporting the referendum, capital, and ESIP project. Good with those three?
I am.
Yeah, I think just
Any hands up?
accomplished them. Everyone understands, okay, everybody's nodding their head yes, right? So I think we have accomplished setting the three board goals. Well, actually, we added now the four. So, I mean, the three board goals and the four district goals by adding the one goal from last year, back to this again. So we now will have our direction for the year then that we all can work toward. Like I said, it's important then that you get, action plans, understanding how the goals are going to be accomplished, and then have a process in place for receiving updates on the goals. And it's also important for you as a board to hold yourself just as accountable by providing updates on your goals. So periodically, how are we doing? What have we accomplished toward our goals? Again, to, just to make sure that we hold ourselves equally accountable. So I think
Thank you very much,
I think
Charlene.
that was it.
Thank you very much.
Extremely efficient.
Well, it's,
Charlie's 3Ps.
you're right. I have no choice here but to be efficient. Okay, I'm going to leave your plaque here and then leave you to the rest of your meeting. I thank you very much. And again, congratulations on all your hard work for earning the board certification.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Charlene.
Business administrators report.
Just to update the board on the status of the construction, the midst of everything else that's going on, we are also doing construction work throughout the district. The high school has roof, bathroom, and gymnasium work being done. The middle school has air conditioning and locker rooms being done. Woodlawn has a partial roof replacement. Valley View has a replacement of the rooftop air conditioning unit. And all of the schools left Cedar Hill and Hilldale are in the process of getting their solar panels placed on their roofs as part of the ESIP program. So all those projects are moving forward, and I'll be giving you more updates as we proceed from there. In terms of the big other project that's going on is the area of the reopening and the various elements that are included in that. As that plan becomes more solid, I'll be able to provide a little more in terms of the financial impact of that plan.
Thank you. We're into committee reports. Finance and facilities, Karen?
So we just met before the board meeting, and Renee went over with us the financial position of the district, which right now is strong. The status of state aid, which we will see some loss in that. We'll at least lose some of the addition we received this year. And we had some discussion about the significant financial impact of reopening the schools.
Thank you, John. Curriculum, Mike?
No report.
Policy, Dave?
Yeah, we have a meeting coming up.
Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday.
Okay. Communications, Michelle?
No report.
Safety and security, Mike O'Brien?
No report.
Delegates, school boards, Karen?
So the delegate assembly met virtually on June 27th, and 2 resolutions were passed. You can read about it in the school board notes. And of course, as we all know, workshop will be a virtual experience this year. So we're waiting to see how that goes. I'm sure it will be worthwhile.
Thank you. Morris County, Mr. O'Brien?
No report.
Educational Services, Mr. Rappaport.
They generally don't meet in, over the summer months, but they're just working on the plans for December.
Thank you. Mr. Palmer, Drug Awareness.
No report. Haven't met since the pandemic.
Athletic Boosters, Mr. O'Brien.
No.
Any PTCs?
I attended the Cedar Hill Car Parade. I walked just out to my corner here, and there was an endless row of cars passing by with honking and balloons and kids waving. It was really very nice. I was happy to view that.
At this time, I know that the end of the school year with regard to the graduations was very successful. And I know some of my colleagues were able to attend the drive-through graduation, which was a long day. Some of my colleagues were able to join me on the nice 95-degree morning of July 6th at the high school for the traditional graduation. And any that were there, this is an opportunity if you'd like to share anything with the board and the public about your experience, this is the time to do it. If not, and then we'll move on.
Well, I did participate in both. I participated in the drive-through and as well as the in-person. And I'm sure that this graduation is one that no senior will ever forget for its adversity and for their ability to be resilient and flexible. The teachers cheering them on and supporting the students as they drove up around to the back of the high school. The lawn signs with the students' names and photos was such a great surprise. The high school administration did an exceptional job. Both ceremonies were beautifully organized and really tried to capture everything that a graduation should be. So while we're all sad that there couldn't be a traditional, as we know it, graduation, some people have remarked that kids are going to be asking to do drive-through every year. So we'll see how.
Charlie,
Thank you,
can I?
Karen. Michelle?
Well, I was not attending either. I did watch both of them live streamed, and I echo Karen's sentiments completely. I also wanted to kind of give a shout out to the high school PTC. They really worked tirelessly with the administration, really were able to put together everything that happened at Lazar with all the staging. There were many hours by many people that went into doing that, and also for what they were able to put together for the students for the gala after the event on July 6th. And I just really think they deserve a shout out.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, I'd like to echo that, Charlie. I was at both graduations also, both the drive-through and the one in person, and I saw the virtual. And I have to say I was enormously impressed with all three. Mr. Sanford had a constantly moving target for 3 months. And somehow he hit the bullseye on all three of them. And I can't say enough good things about the way he and the administration handled everything. I think it was a day to remember, an event to remember. And for the seniors, I wish them the best and congratulations on what was obviously a very difficult year at the end, but hopefully they'll all be better for it.
Thank you, Mike. The last 3.5 months up to graduation, we had quite lengthy board meetings, and I must say that the events came through. I have received many emails thanking me and the Board of Education for our support and thanking the administration for a great job that was done. I think the parents and the kids especially, along with the support staff and the teachers at the high school, did an outstanding job. I know we had our superintendent who was there all day during the drive-through graduation and sharing the nice warm weather on the 6th with me. I appreciate that. But I think that it just was a fantastic affair, and nobody sent any negative emails to me to complain about. And I think it was great, and I thank everyone that was involved, no matter what your role is, from the IT all the way down to the maintenance crew. I think it was fantastic, and I thank all of you. The next part of the agenda is where we have the public have an opportunity to participate. Although the agenda is set up so there's two public participations, first part being for agenda items, and I'm going to waive that. I'm going to give anybody an opportunity to speak on anything at this part of the meeting. If anybody has any questions or things of that nature, I've never been to, all I've done is virtual.
Okay, well,
Someone
we'll
comes
manage
up?
that, yes. So I just wanted to let people know that if you're joining us on YouTube and you'd like to speak during this public comment portion of the meeting, please follow the directions in the video description below for how to join us in the Zoom webinar. You may need to click on the show more in order to see those directions. Anybody that is currently here in the Zoom with us, if you would please click the raise your hand button to request to be unmuted so that you can speak. I will call on your name, recognize you, and then we will unmute you and enable you to make your comments. So if anyone is interested in speaking at this point, if you would kindly click the raise your hand button. Okay, Mr. DeBonta, you are recognized. You have the floor.
Hello?
Hey, can everybody hear me?
We can hear you.
Yep, just a little louder.
First off, it's very nice to see everybody. I haven't seen everyone in quite some time. The comment on the graduations, I was at the drive-through graduation, and it was fantastic. What a great day all the way around. The reason I'm coming on tonight, guys, is I'm just wondering what we're doing contract-wise for the coaches. I know that July 13th has passed. The NJSIAA has allowed us to start coaching our kids, but we do not have a contract right now, and I'm very concerned about it.
I'm gonna ask our attorney to respond to that.
Okay.
If you would, please, Mr. Edelstein.
Sure, I'd be glad to. This is an issue that is of great concern to the board, of course, and has generated a great deal of discussion. Here's where things stand. We will be reaching out first thing tomorrow to the association to set up a meeting as soon as possible, hopefully this week, to see if we can come to an agreement to this issue, which is, on the one hand, fair to the coaches, but also recognizes some realities that the board is facing, including, for example, that at best it's going to be a shortened season with fewer events, that there is some uncertainty as to whether there's going to be a full season at all, and that we are in the dark about whether the governor or the Department of Education is going to issue orders, as was the case in the spring, which controls the situation. But the board certainly recognizes the need to get this issue resolved immediately. So that will start first thing tomorrow morning. But some of these issues have to be addressed. I'm sure you'll understand that.
Just as an add-on that Mr. Edelstein mentioned, we'll be reaching out tomorrow. Hopefully we'll meet this week. And we will have a board meeting on Saturday if necessary, or early next week, to ratify whatever we come up with. We don't want to delay it. We just want to meet and go through our proposals, okay?
Okay, because things are kind of moving along, and we have to start at phase one. So the longer we wait, we're losing traction as we go. So we're anxious to get out there as coaches, and that's across the board, not just for football, but it's all athletics, and we're just excited to get out there. But we really want to get this moving in the right direction for us. So Thank you for having me.
Quite welcome. Thank you.
I would recognize Justin Marquetta.
Hi, Dr. Rovetar. Sorry, it's actually his wife on his account. My name is Victoria Marquetta. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the board, for allowing us the opportunity to speak. Specifically, Dr. Rovetar, thank you for the email you sent following the initial with the questions and answers, which helped to clarify a lot of what us parents have kind of been trying to wrap our heads around. In the email, you had mentioned that in regards to class sizes, the board or the committee was anticipating some students would not return, which would effectively help to reduce class sizes. But since the survey was sent after the fact, I'm wondering if that does not happen, what is the district doing to help to reduce class sizes? Is there a ratio you're looking to hit? Or just specifically, what will be done to help to reduce the class sizes to maximize any social distancing efforts that can be made?
As I've indicated, we are looking to be able to maintain somewhere between 3 and 6 foot social distancing within the classroom. The district reopening committee is still in the process of developing those plans. So at this point, I am not able to provide a tremendous amount of additional detail to what was sent out to parents yesterday.
I would add, I would add that you heard me mention that there's a special meeting on August 4th. Hopefully there'll be some movement by that time. We'll get more information. So please write that down on your calendar. If the committee to open schools has completed its work by that date, I know it's pushing them, we would be able to generate more information for you. Okay?
Thank you. In that light, would you be able to talk to whether or not teachers will be given the option to work remotely, or is that something that's not allowed to be said until August 4th as well?
That'll be coming through. We'll wait for the committee to make its recommendations, and that can be discussed on the 4th.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, just one more thing. Is the district working to form any sort of pandemic response team that was outlined in the state guidelines that should be unique to the schools? If so, will that happen prior to this August 4th meeting, or is that something that we're looking for September?
Each individual principal is working on developing their pandemic response staff or committee. In many instances, that committee is the same folks as are involved in the school safety committee, with some additional personnel being added to that. But those groups are being convened and managed by the building principals as the guidelines call for.
Okay, thank you. And I'm looking forward to hearing what comes out on August 4th. And I think just to echo what some of the other parents have said, I feel that the survey was a good tool, and perhaps if we could get it before the 4th, if you wanted to send another one, it might help to get some of the voices that feel that are not being heard at this point. Thank you.
Okay, John Hopper.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, great.
Okay, great, thank you. I'd like to clarify the association's position on the coaching situation. The coaches in the spring made a commitment to the district. The district approved the contracts, the budget was approved, and we owe it to the athletes and the community to uphold that. So, you know, I'd like to make that clear that we have a commitment already for a full-time season, and, you know, like you to try to move forward on that maybe this evening while you're all together. It might be a good opportunity for you guys to have a discussion. That's the board's, or the association's commitment and position, if you'd like to take it from there.
I think that I made the board's position clear. We'll be reaching out to the association tomorrow morning.
There's no
not
need
gonna
to
be-
reach out to the association. We already have a position. That position is, we made a commitment to the athletes and the community, and we would like the board to uphold that commitment as well.
I'm sure you don't mean to be saying that you would refuse to meet with the board. So we'll be reaching out tomorrow, and however you respond is how you respond.
I'm not saying that we would not like to have a meeting about it, but I thought it might be more convenient while everybody is meeting in one location to have a discussion about it.
That's not going to happen tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Next.
Nicole McDonough?
Hello. Hello, everyone?
We can hear you.
Oh, okay, good. Sorry, I can't hear myself, so okay, good. Hi, my name is Nicole McDonough. I am a mom of 2 William Mason Elementary School boys, and this is my first Board of Education meeting, so thank you very much for recognizing me and allowing me the opportunity to speak here tonight. I did also, as Ms. Marchetta did, receive and review Dr. Rovtar's email yesterday, which I found to be very helpful in deciphering and clarifying the very few items that were in our survey that we received last week. And so I was very happy to receive that. And now I have at least a little bit of an idea as to what our district is considering on the return to school in September in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. And what I understand is that all students will be required to wear masks. We will have plexiglass desk shields on 3 sides of the desks for the students, including the elementary school ones. Teachers will wear masks. We will minimize the flow. Students will not be eating lunch at school. It is unclear if there will be recess or extracurriculars like art and music and gym. And what I'm trying to understand and what I'd like to ask the board, because you are the experts, as I said, this is my first Board of Education meeting. I am not an educator by trade. And so what I'd like you to speak on, if you could, is what are the benefits to in-person education under these circumstances? The benefits to in-person education when students are not wearing masks, not behind plexiglass desks where they can share crayons and books. I understand and I appreciate those greatly. But that is unfortunately not the circumstances to which we would be returning in September in light of this pandemic. So if you could please advise the parents, especially of the elementary school children. One of my sons is actually going into kindergarten, so this is his first foray into big boy school. What are the benefits to in-person education under the tentative plan for reopening?
Okay, I think there are significant benefits, particularly from a social, emotional, psychological perspective, to have students back in the building. I think that was something that was sorely lacking during our last 3 months of the school year. But beyond that, we actually are under an obligation that was given to us by the governor and the commissioner of the Department of Education to create a plan for all students to return to school. We were told explicitly that our planning cannot include an option that would continue all students on virtual or remote learning. That is not an option for us at the present time, based on the directives that we've received from those governmental agencies.
That's the main reason, Nicole. And also, things could change between now and August 4th and September 1st. So this is like a situation that's very fluid, but we have to follow the direction of the governor. That's why we have had to do this. Okay?
I appreciate that. If I could just ask Dr. Rovtar, if you could elaborate on the social
So we
aspects.
Nicole, if we could, I'm just gonna ask you to hold off if you could, because you're getting into the technicalities of how this plan is gonna work, which is really the purpose of the August 4th meeting. So I'll be happy to come back to you, but I'd like to give some other people an opportunity, if you don't mind.
Okay,
I'll bring
thank
it
you.
back to you, okay?
Nobody else has their hand up right now.
Okay? So since nobody has their hand up, this would be a good time to take a break, not take a break, excuse me. This would be a good time to do the agenda, and then we can come back and reopen it for more questions and/or input, okay? We have the agenda consent resolutions. Continue, have the August 4th somewhere. What resolution would that be as a special meeting?
I don't have it on as a resolution, we normally just add it.
Well, yeah, well, it's like a verbal resolution to add that meeting.
I'll just add it, we'll add.
All right, we'll make it, I-1 will be the minutes, and I-2 will be the establish a date of August 4th as a special meeting of the Montville Board of Education, all right? Could I have a motion on the rest of the agenda, please?
So moved. Second.
All right, any questions on the minutes? Any questions on the August 4th date?
The quick special meeting, that includes executive session, correct?
Yes. Executive session at 6:30, public
I
meeting
think we
7.
need to be clear that this is not a special meeting, and that special meetings are generally called for a specific purpose. This will be an additional regular meeting
Yes.
of the Board of Education.
It's a regular meeting.
Okay.
This will be our second meeting for August, okay? Jay? Okay? Al? M? And there's no N. Since there are no questions, roll call, please, Mrs. Slunt.
Mr. Palma?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Aye.
Dr. Cordolino?
Yes.
Mr. Daughtry?
Yes.
Mrs. Fano?
Yes?
Dr. Modrak?
Yes.
Mr. Rappaport?
Abstain M.2 and abstain M.5, yes to everything else.
Ms. Zuckerman?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Abstain, yes on everything except check number 94973, I abstain. Old business, do we have any old business of the Board of Ed at this point? Any general board comment, new business? All right, we'll reopen it up to public participation, please. If you have a question, please.
I would like to recognize Jennifer Bain.
Jennifer?
Jennifer, you're muted.
Hi, I think I'm unmuted now, right? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi, I am a mom to 2 children in Cedar Hill. I'm also a physician. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. It sounds like from the board that the educational board's finances are quite solid right now from what we heard earlier this evening. So, and I am in support of going back to school for those who are able to provide some social emotional experience for the children. However, one concern I do have is whether or not the half day is sufficient to provide adequate education. And so if all the schools are going to start going back half day, why not provide the whole day? And I know in Dr. Robtar's email, you had mentioned concerns about contracts to teachers, which obviously we all appreciate and understand. Clearly the sports teams are going through that now. But if we're in such a good financial situation, not good, but obviously stable financial situation, has the board or has the board thought of any other backup options to utilize other providers, whether that's special educators, whether that's people who rotate in other people to allow the teachers to have their 1 hour lunch break? And another just a comment, I think, you know, we're here for the education of our children and the public safety of our community. But I think the reality is that we're in a global pandemic that no contract, no attorney, nobody could have ever imagined. And so, you know, similar to when hurricanes hit years ago and people were told by their insurance companies, sorry, it doesn't count, this is a natural disaster. I think we're in a similar situation. And I think it's really important for the board to recognize that every other profession is also being quite flexible now. And I think we have to come up with alternative answers. And I think speaking on behalf of just a fair number of parents that I've spoken to, we didn't feel like there were other backup options or other possibilities to provide a full day if that was going to be the plan, to make it at least an effective school day for those who are choosing to participate. Thank you.
I think a lot of suggestions have been submitted, and that's the purpose of this committee, and that's what they're working on. And I know they're meeting quite often with Zoom with their colleagues, and if Renee wants to add anything, please do, but we'll have more information for you probably at the August 4th, if sooner, and I'm sure Dr. Rotar will share that information with any of you.
Yeah, no, that's,
Okay, next.
Jackie Vogt,
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, members of the Board of Education, Dr. Rotar, guests. My name is Jackie Vogt. I'm the mother of 4 children in the Montville system. I'm also the mother of 2 Montville High School football players. And last week, there was quite a flurry of discussion among parents and Dr. Rotar regarding the fall sports programs and the coaches' contracts. And I received an email from Dr. Rotar, which I'll read to you, which says that if guidance is received from the NJSIAA at any time up to the scheduled board meeting on July 14th, an addendum may be added to the agenda to allow the Board of Education to take action on the appointment of the fall sport coaches. These appointments would be effective immediately, meaning that our athletes would miss only 2 days of the conditioning period scheduled by the NJSIAA. So in light of the guidance that was in fact received by that organization on July 12th, and the fact that the teams and the coaches, particularly Coach Sabana, are ready, willing, and able to commence, I'm concerned that tonight we're being told by the board attorney that this issue is being tabled yet again. As a parent of contact sports players, I'm concerned about their conditioning. Coach Devonta has communicated to the board lots of concerns about not getting started. I think a lot of sports parents took comfort in Dr. Rotar's email and letters of last week assuring us that if the NJSIAA permitted the season to go forward in its guidelines on July 12th, that action would be taken at this meeting today, July 14th, to approve the coaches' contract so we could get going. So I'm very concerned and disturbed that that's not what's happening. I'm disturbed also to hear that one of the options put on the table for the coaches was to pay them only 50% of their coaches' stipends, when in fact we all know that these are not just coaches for a particular season, but these are coaches for our high school sports programs, which I think all of you would acknowledge are not limited to the particular season of competitive play for those athletes. I, in particular, and I know I have a lot of support from members of the community, think that it's important to get the coaches appointed. It's important that we move forward. We are putting our student athletes' health and well-being at risk by continuing to delay.
Thank you very much. I think Mr. Edelstein mentioned it before, our attorney, that we want to get this done, and we're ready to meet with the MTEA tomorrow and have a meeting and get this settled. And once we get a settlement, we'll be very happy to meet. And when it is, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Saturday.
Why not?
And get
Why not
going.
tonight?
Right now, that's the posture. There's no action for this evening.
I'm sorry, I thought you were finished speaking.
There's no action
Dr.
scheduled.
I'm
No
sorry.
ac- There's no action scheduled for this meeting. Mr. Edelstein reviewed our position. Okay?
I understand that. I'm challenging that because I was under the belief, and I received this email from Dr. Rovtar that suggested that so long as the NJSIAA issued guidelines permitting the season to go forward by July 12th, that would be on the agenda for tonight.
Well, I can't respond to that. It's the super.
I think the key word in that email was the verb may. I can't, I deal with the board, we have discussions, we talk about recommendations, but I don't believe that there was anything in my email that committed that we would definitely be taking action this evening.
Well, Dr. Rovtar, your email certainly suggested that so long as the guidance was received by July 12th, the board, and it said to allow the board to take action, those appointments would be effective immediately, meaning our athletes would miss only 2 days of the conditioning period. So we've missed those 2 days. That was Monday and Tuesday of this week. And now I understand that I'm hearing that it could be delayed another 2, 3, 4, or 5 days. And as Coach DeBond has said, those are valuable conditioning days and put our program behind in the phased approach that we are required to go through.
I don't know what else to tell you. The attorney gave our opinion. I indicated we're not taking any action tonight, and we told you what the board is doing. So I don't know what else to respond to you at this point. We're not taking action on any appointments of any coaches tonight. And Mr. Edelstein gave you the procedure that we're using, and that's where we're at. Okay? Do we have any other?
Yes, Mr. Zampetti?
Yes, thanks for having me. So I'm also a parent of one of the football program. My son's a sophomore. I think you need to take action tonight. I'm demanding that you guys do this tonight.
Well, I
I'm a
appreciate.
taxpayer. I'm very concerned about my children in the program, and I think that you're putting them at risk by stalling.
Well, Mr. Zampetti, I'm not going to argue with you, okay? I don't think what we have suggested is unreasonable.
When are we going to hear something back then? If tomorrow is the date, since we've been hearing stall tactics left and right, when are we going to hear something back?
Excuse me, Mr. Zampetti, you haven't been hearing stall tactics, okay? This is a big decision. Other districts are doing things a lot different. We have discussed this, and we are meeting with the union, hopefully the association, to go through this procedure, okay? We are all taxpayers who sit up here, all right? So please, we're doing best what's good for everybody in this school system, all 4,000 kids. And I don't think that we're being unreasonable, and that's the system we have set up, the procedure.
That's your opinion. Thanks.
Excuse me?
I said,
Excuse me?
thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Hufford?
Hello again, just making sure you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. I want to, for those of you who don't know me, I'm the association vice president. I'm speaking for the association tonight when I tell you that our position is that the coaches made a commitment in the spring. You budgeted for the coaching. It was voted upon and approved. We owe it to the athletes. We owe it to the community to follow through on that. I know that you want to have a meeting with the association tomorrow. I'm telling you right now, that is our position. We owe it to the athletes and the community. You're all together right now. You can have a discussion about it. That's our position. We're happy to talk tomorrow, but the ball is in your court. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hubbard. Anybody else?
I don't see anybody else with hand up. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Dr. Walsh.
Hello, sorry about that. I was on mute still. Quick question to follow up on Dr. Bain's question. So what would it take, if it is an issue with just the lunch issue in terms of the contractually obligated time, what would it take to get parents to be certified in order to legally get parents in to cover the lunch period in order to get them to stay full day?
There really is no such thing as that.
What was the question?
Parents supervising lunch.
Why would it be a legal issue, if I ask?
The children are under the control of the school district. The school district is not permitted simply to have parents come in and take control of children other than their own.
Okay. The substitute teachers are allowed to be in and are certified. I'm just asking if there is a mechanism that can become certified.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Mrs. Marqueta.
Hi, thank you again. So in listening to some of the concerns that have been raised regarding the reopening, I'm hearing a lot that we'll find out the answers on August 4th. And while I'm very excited to hear those answers, I'm also concerned because that August 4th meeting puts us about that 30 days prior to reopening, which is when the state has said we should have the plan from the district. My new concern now is that on August 4th, we will be told this plan as it has already been decided. So my concern is how are you, the board and the reopening committee, going to maintain an open dialogue so that the concerns that we're raising tonight are not just simply given an answer to on the 4th, but are given some consideration in making those answers that we will hear hopefully before the 4th or on the 4th.
My response would be that just as, the documents that I put out yesterday, as decisions are made by the committee, that it is our intention to share that information as we go along towards August 4th. If the plan is completed before August 4th, we would certainly share information in advance of that day.
Thank you. I look forward to that transparency.
Mrs. McDonough.
Hello again. Thank you for recognizing me. One of the things I wanted to ask, while I appreciate that the plan will not be finalized until August 4th, have you considered or are you considering a plan that does not involve face masks or desk shields, or is that completely off the table for our district?
Face mask.
Face coverings are required by the New Jersey Department of Education guidelines. Anytime 6-foot social distancing cannot be maintained. So we have that as a parameter that we have to work with.
Are we able to come up with some alternative plan where we can maintain the social distancing of 6 feet guidelines? Are we considering perhaps distance learning for the majority of the time by the high school, and the elementary schools take over the high school with more space so that they can socially distance and not wear face masks? Obviously, a 15-year-old wearing a face mask is probably better able to do it than a 5-year-old. It's probably going to stay on better. I mean,
Let her finish. Let her answer.
Again, we are not able to craft a plan that puts any group of students, such as the high school, out of school on virtual instruction in order to free up that instructional space for other grade levels. We can't empty out the high school and bring elementary students here. The high school students must be provided with a plan to attend in person.
Dr. Rovtar, in my reading of the road back, students are only required to be in person for 1 day per week. You are correct, of course, that complete virtual learning is not permitted under the governor's guidance, and Commissioner Repillet's, the road back and the team that worked on that. However, if our district offered, and I don't personally think this is the best idea, however, if we only offered 1 day of in-person instruction, that would suffice to meet what we have been state ordered to do, so to speak. So it could be done if we, I just wanted to finish that. It could be done if we shifted the days or something like that, so that we could maintain 6 feet of social distance, so that children 10 and under were not required to wear masks for 3+ hours in a school day. And they could actually attain the socialization that you do get from an in-person experience when you can talk to your friends, see your friends. And I mean, everyone knows elementary school children, they are very touchy and they're close talkers and they like to get up to each other. So if we could keep them 6 feet apart without masks, then we wouldn't need this sterile prison-like environment where they have desk shields and face masks.
Well, that's one of the things that I'm sure the committee will evaluate. I know they're looking at a lot of things right now.
Okay, good. I'm happy to hear that.
I'll tell you that I would never recommend a plan that involves the high school students having only 1 day of in-person instruction.
Yes.
I just don't think that's educationally responsible.
It's not the intent.
That is not what I was suggesting, Dr. Rovtar. However, I'm simply saying we could utilize all of our school buildings. We have a number of them to enable social distancing of 6 feet, so that students, and perhaps I'm biased because my students are in elementary school and I know the way they act when they have masks on, they touch their face more, that we could find a way to keep 6 feet distance so that they were not required to wear masks. Because under the governor's guidance, as you correctly point out, Dr. Rovtar, masks are not required if you do maintain the 6 feet of social distance.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes, Alexis Sidoti?
Gonna go with 2 more and then we're gonna wrap it up, okay?
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'm a parent of 3 children at Cedar Hill. I just have 2 questions. The first, I guess, is on the kind of the whole planning process. I think it was great to see the survey that was sent out. It was a little bit confusing that the plan came out and then the survey. And so when all of the town was asked what their feelings were, it really wasn't part of the initial plan that we're kind of using as the baseline to continue. I assume the committee was a part of it to plan that, but it would be helpful to know as a parent that the feelings that we've shared on the surveys are going to be a part of the plan from now to August 4th. And that maybe clearer, more descriptive questions could be sent, because although I liked that last question where it asked if we wanted to put any input, the fact that if every single parent put input in that last line, for you guys to read that and digest all of that information would be virtually impossible. So maybe if there were questions that were more specific and gauged our feelings about the actual procedures of going back in the day-to-day life of the children, it would help the committee to go forward from now until August 4th to get a clear and concise plan. I mean, is there any plan to send out a survey that's more descriptive, or could you speak to the fact or how you're going to read all of those last question answers on those surveys?
I personally have read every one of those comments. And, that information is going to be compiled for the committee members. We're trying to take as much input as we can and consider that as we go about developing the plan.
I know somebody said that there's going to be a lot of meetings, or they already are meeting virtually often, the committee. If we could have updates, or if surveys could be sent out as they're making plans, so that on August 4th, something doesn't come out that doesn't take everybody's feelings into consideration, because I think there's 1 elementary parent and 1 high school parent, if I read it correctly. So no middle school representation. So maybe if they're getting more surveys and more answers from people, you could have a clearer idea of what the town is looking for.
And I think Dr. Rothbard just mentioned she's read every survey. And this
Right,
is
but
what
as
she's
you, as you start to plan and make specifics and things change, and if it doesn't go from the 5 half days as it's set right now and things start to change or details start to change, or Medlick is offered or isn't offered, or busing and subscription busing, then those things should be in an updated survey so that the committee knows how they should be proceeding as the voices. I mean, there was only 2 parents, I think. So the 2 parents that are the voices for all of the parents in town, it would be nice if you guys had more information from us.
Well, I'm sure a lot of the surveys will provide the information. And I don't know if you intend to send out another survey. You can just,
Well, I mean,
I don't think
our
it's necessary.
intention is to, as decisions are made, we will certainly share that information with the public. I think people need to understand the nature of a committee is, decisions are made, and we actually, because of the time constraints that we're operating with, we don't have the option of every decision that needs to be made, putting that out to a vote of every parent in the community. That's just not a workable way to approach the huge.
I totally get that. I totally appreciate that. I just think it was a shock to many parents that the plan came out prior to the survey asking us our feelings.
Believe me, that what was shared was a proposal. It's certainly not the entire plan. But in order for us to gain a sense of the willingness of parents to send their child back, I think in all fairness, we felt that we needed to share at least what was being proposed at the time, and under consideration as the primary choice that the committee appeared to be pursuing. So again, the plan has not been finalized, but I think it's hard for parents to provide input when they don't know what is being proposed. And our survey was certainly modeled on after a number of other parent surveys that have been sent out by neighboring districts. So, that was the approach. The district shared what was being contemplated and asked for parent feedback on that, which is exactly what we did.
Could you speak to the?
Are there any more speakers?
I think there's 2 more.
All right, we're gonna finish up with 2 more speakers.
Nina Fardo.
Hi, can you hear me?
Are you?
Okay, so I just finished my freshman year at MTHS, and my mom said that she got the plan the other day, and she told me about what you guys were thinking. And honestly, I personally don't like the plan, but I know that there's nothing we can do about it because it's just the safest way to move forward. But I honestly just want to say that as a student who went to MTHS, I don't think that the plan will work. I think that nobody's going to follow the rules. People aren't going to wear masks and stuff. I just don't think it would work. But so I just wanted to say that I think that also with the online school, I can personally attest that honestly, going to online school doesn't really teach you much. I know that the whole schools thing is we want to help students learn in the best way possible for them and stuff. And I know that not all students learn the same way as me, so it might have been easier for some students, but I think that the online schooling put a hold in my learning process. And I just think that the more in school that we can do, the better it will be for all students, not only because of their happiness, but also because of the way that they want to learn. And if that means that either we have chaperoned lunches, which I heard was an idea, or stuff like that, or just less days of full days of schools. I just think that that would be a much better idea for the school than like half days with masks and stuff. So that's just what I wanted to say.
Thank you for your comments.
No problem.
Karen Rankin?
Can you hear me? Good evening.
Good evening.
First, I want to thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rotard. Thank you, board. I know you've been working tirelessly on this. I am a parent that has a lot of concerns just about the overall safety. And honestly, I don't know if any plan is not going to necessarily guarantee complete safety of our students and staff. And I guess as a parent, I have to decide what level of anxiety I can have every time I see that number come on the phone from the Board of Ed. Is it going to be that there's a case of COVID in one of the schools? I'm fortunate that I work from home, so I can live in my little bubble, hopefully for a long time, as long as I have this current job. So I'm fortunate that I could keep my son home here. But my question is, for parents that aren't comfortable sending their kids to school at the start of school, what is the plan? And what if I send my student and then I don't feel comfortable at some point and feel that I just do not feel comfortable and my anxiety level is just going through the roof? Will we, as a parent, be able to make a determination whether or not we feel it's safe to send our students to school?
That's always a parent's option.
But I guess my question is, what would my son be offered virtual learning? That's my question.
Well, we're waiting for direction from the New Jersey Department of Education on that aspect. So as soon as we receive that direction, we can provide a little bit more specific information for parents.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're quite welcome. I'd like to thank everybody.
Yep, we're good.
Thank everyone for attending. If you have any questions, please, as I mentioned before, submit them to Dr. Rothar. I would entertain a motion to adjourn, but I'd like the board members just to stay for a moment. May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are we cut off, Mark?
Aye.